Northwest England representative for the Institute of General Practice Management. A very, well, I say very new organisation, been going for about sort of 9-10 months now officially. Started off by a group of practice managers who were put together by a chap at Practice Index, who basically the four of them were blogging about the same sort of stuff, similar sort of things we're seeing in the Mentimeter at the moment. Why isn't this not happening? Why don't we have support? How can we do this? And instead of actually just creating a negative area to sort of basically have a bit of a rant, they actually decided to do something a bit more positive. Instead of actually looking at things in terms of, well, what's wrong, we'll say, well, how can we change things? How can we fix things? How can we do things positively to move forward for practice management? Because I mean, I think I've said this before in a presentation, but I'm looking at the screen at the moment, and the main person that I can actually see is myself. And that's the same for every single practice manager up and down the country. It's a very, very solitary, lonely role in an office where you have to show leadership, you have to show support, and sort of really be that person that everybody can go to. But who can you go to? And it's really been a massive gap in the industry in terms of our profession, and I use the word profession very, very succinctly, because we need to be recognised that we are a profession in terms of the input that we have into general practice, and the effects that we do have within surgeries and the wider sector as a whole. We basically are set up to be a formalised, recognised support network. I think a few of us, I think not just the representatives, but I think quite a lot of us anyway on a day-to-day basis help each other out in your localities, and having an actual formalised body that you can actually go to for standardised processes, standardised way of support, professional development as well. We appreciate that there's one or two other organisations that have touched on this before. However, we have now officially been recognised by NHS England, which is obviously why we're here today, but the BMA, the RCGP, and even CQC as being the body to sort of be recognised as part of even the CQC structure is what we're aiming for in the future, to have a professional qualification where, in a similar way to Chartered Institute of Professional Development, or if you're a HR specialist, or any others as well, that you can sort of have as a massive positive, not only for yourself as an individual to make sure that you've been trained to certain levels, but also a recognition from your partners if you're not a partner yourself as a practice manager, but also from external bodies as well. So the CCG, Manchester CCG, have very, very strongly linked on to myself as the IGPM rep, because they realise that there's a gap there as well. If there's recruitment issues, which I say if, we all know there is in general practice management, there's a body that a practice can go to actually help, so not so much the day-to-day stuff, but into the recruitment process, how to support any new people to general practice, because these are all things that are going to be very, very prevalent over the next couple of years. Especially there's been a few surveys that have gone out where up to 2/3 of people are considering leaving general practice management, and that's absolutely awful. Because I for one, I'm very passionate about it. I'm very passionate about the support that I can sort of help with my with my peers, whether it's locally, and obviously is this on a wider sort of scheme. I see obviously a couple of the North Manchester practice managers who are on this thing as well, and I'd like to think that they could sort of back me up on that one in terms of being able to sort of come to me for any advice if needed. But ultimately, we are here. It is a membership body. We've currently got just over 1,000 people who are signed up as members. We're also, there is a membership fee of £50, but we are looking to get a lot of tap into a bit of funding to especially for the first year alone anyway. As you go through the sort of proposed processes for different levels of development, so the membership, the fellows, and all of the other scales that you would normally come through with a professional qualification, there would obviously be different costings associated to that, like with every other area. But we're basically now at this moment in time, we're trying to expand the membership, making sure that we are looking at how our membership actually wants us to develop. We're not proposing to be a union, but we are looking to. We've already been given status at pretty much the top table when it comes to NHS England and BMA. We've done a lot of joint working with them already to really sort of make sure that our voices as managers are heard, because at the end of the day, the people can ask a GP practice to do something, but who actually does the work? It's us, and we're the ones who need that support from both each other, as well as having input to make sure that things are actually deliverable. But as I said, we're here as primarily as a support organisation, and we really want to make sure that we get the message out there that the support is there from a sort of very much a nationally recognised body. And I say nationally, I mean talking about in England, but also representatives we have in Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales as well. We're working with each individual representative body there as well. So nice couple of messages there. Thanks, Khadija. But yeah, I mean, if anybody needs to know any more, I can obviously put my details in the chat here, and I'll sort of do it whilst I'm chatting, multitasking as all practice managers do. But yeah, I'm just basically here to sort of get the message out there. We're here to support. We're here to sort of listen to you guys as our membership, when you are members, in terms of how we can actually move forward, and how you want us to progress, and how you want us to represent and support you as individuals as well as practices. And as I said the other day when Kerry showed me this slide, thank you for taking my LinkedIn profile picture from about 9 years ago. And obviously practice management has made sure that we're still alive, but however a little bit more weathered. But yeah, if you've got any questions, I'm always here to help where I can, if I can, and that's pretty much it. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike. And so we will share these slides with the link direct to the Institute of General Practice Management, so everybody's got it. There is an email address as well, and we've also included Mike's and Kay's email, who both support this programme. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks again. So Kay's one of the original 4 directors, who was the original ranter on Practice Manager and Practice Index. She's also a northerner. She's based in Stockport as well. So we've got a very strong leadership up here in the north. So
brilliant, thank you. So moving on. We have the next thing that we wanted to touch upon, because people were telling us that they weren't always sure about the nurse associate role, and this aligns very nicely to our nursing pathway. So we're going to let Leslie, unfortunately, is moving house today of all days, so is unable to join us, but she has provided us with a presentation. So I'll hand over to our virtual Leslie.
Hello, my name is Leslie Royal Pryor, and I'm the Primary and Community Nurse Lead for Greater Manchester. I'm here today to talk to you about the Trainee Nurse Associates and the Nurse Associate role in primary care. So the future of primary care in Greater Manchester, we all know that we've got workforce challenges, but prior to all the challenges that we're facing at the moment, we had an idea that we had issues with GP and GPN nurse recruitment and retention. We knew that we had a lot of nurses that were reaching retirement age, and to look at something that we could do to support that. So we're looking to sustain our workforce by considering a skill mix in our teams. And that's to improve career pathways for internal talent. So looking to internal talent to encourage them into nursing as a career, and improve the pipeline from outside of the NHS into primary care. To do that, we're looking at providing additional capacity by varying and improving that skill mix and embedding new roles in primary care that showcase the skills and experience that we have. Probably by now you're all aware of, you'll have seen this. This is the breakdown from June earlier this year across GM of the nurses that in general practice that would be looking to retire in the next 5 years. You can see some of this. In some of the areas, at least a third of the nursing workforce approaching retirement age, and some areas it's 50%. So that was looking at 5 years. I'm sure that we haven't got the figures, the updated figures, but I'm sure they've probably changed quite considerably in the last few months. So there is an issue, and there is an issue with nursing. So the vision for primary care nursing in Greater Manchester, again, is to improve the career pathways, to develop internal talent, and to encourage others to consider nursing as a career. If we can increase the pipeline of new talent into primary care, we can provide that additional capacity we need to vary and improve that skill mix. And then we can embed these new roles into primary care and general practice and showcase just the skills and experience that we have. And one of those ways is the trainee nurse associate role. So trainee nurse associates generally are coming from a healthcare support worker background. So they may have worked in general practice, in community, or in secondary care. They do a 2-year generic level 5 nursing degree apprenticeship for 1 day a week at university. And they have 1 day a week protected learning time in an external placement. This allows them to do practice ready programs, and then they have 3 days a week protected learning time in practice. They also have a practice assessor or supervisor who facilitates their learning in practice. So it may be your healthcare assistant that goes to do this, and they're still within your practice working as a HCA as well as doing this training course. And the course exposes them across the 4 fields of nursing, so they are able to go out through the 2 years. So they will go into community settings, into secondary care, into learning disability, mental health and maternity placement. So they get the full breadth of the nursing. It gives them experience of providing care across the entire lifespan from birth and to the end of life in a variety of settings. They train on AFC Band 3 and once qualified they are a Band 4. So once qualified with the foundation degree is awarded by the Nursing and Midwifery Council, and that puts them onto the NMC register. It doesn't make them a registered nurse, it makes them a registered nurse associate. So what's the difference? So what can a nurse associate do that a registered nurse does? You can see here the NMC sets out 6 platforms for the nurse associate and 7 for the registered nurse. Very, very similar about accountability, promoting health, providing and monitoring and evaluating care. So the difference here is that the nurse associate provides and monitors care, and the registered nurse is the evaluator of that care. And when we go down to the end here, the nurse is the coordinator of the care and assesses the needs and the planning of care. So oversees the work of the nurse associate. So a nurse associate acts in the best interest of the patient and provides person-centred nursing care that's safe and compassionate. They supply a key role in supporting people to improve and maintain their mental, physical health and well-being, and they're actively involved in prevention and health protection. They monitor conditions and the health needs of people in their care, and they are key members of the MDT. They work closely with other nurses and healthcare professionals, and they've got a greater understanding of integrated care delivery from their training. They're skilled communicators, and they identify issues and take appropriate action. They're focused on improving quality of care, and that's where they sit within that nursing team. So, just a brief overview of what a nurse associate can do in general practice when we're looking at skills and tasks. So you've got here what currently a healthcare assistant would do in their role, and then what a nurse associate could do alongside your practice nurse. And you can see there are some similarities, but then you would expect that your nurse associate here is far more advanced than your healthcare assistant, although that we know that some healthcare assistants in general practice do work at a higher level. So just going over again this role. So the nurse associate is registered on the NMC register as a registered nurse associate. They are an accountable professional, and it is a role that bridges the gap between healthcare support workers and registered nurses, delivers hands-on person-centred care, and there are standards of proficiency from the NMC that they have to follow. It builds capacity through that nursing workforce. It supports the delivery of high quality care, and it releases time for registered nurses to go on to more complex care for patients. So it allows them to do some of the roles that your GPNs were doing previously, so that nurse can do more complex patient care. It supports the training and supervision of others, so they can train students and support students in practice and other healthcare assistants. And it will increase that supply because the nurse associate, once qualified, can do an extra course to increase to a registered nurse, and a lot are doing that. But for now, it's an ideal opportunity to fill those gaps in a nursing workforce in general practice and support that nursing team. Thank you.
Well, thanks to our virtual Leslie for that nice update on the nurse associate. If anybody does have any questions, then please do put them in the chat. I'm going to hand over now to Dawn O'Brien from HMR Academy, and Dawn's going to give us an update on Kickstart.
Sorry, I was just finding my slides. I've got that many things open with Mentimeters and other stuff. So we're really, really pleased to say that we launched Kickstart with our practices, our dental surgeries, pharmacies and care homes right across the borough 2 weeks ago. We originally applied to the government for 134 places. Those 134 vacancies were taken within a week by the majority by general practice. I think 86 were given to general practice looking for admin and HCA staff. We have carried on taking applications because we do have a few more weeks and we've applied to the government to extend those. So I think currently we're at around 185 vacancies, which is massive to think we've got those vacancies within the space of just a few weeks. What we need from you now, so basically we are working with the job centres. I presented to the Department of Work and Pensions this morning to every single work coach across Greater Manchester. They are, I'll stop sharing that poster. They are sharing those vacancies now with everybody on their books. They have got 20,000 young people aged between 16 and 24 who are currently claiming universal credit. So Kickstart is only open to those claiming universal credit. Our approach to Kickstart is very different. So what we've learned from other areas about why Kickstart has failed is that they have a very rigid approach, that they want CVs, GCSEs above the level C and other things. We aren't going along that route. We want to try and give young people opportunities regardless of their background or, oh, brilliant, Deepa, that's fab. We want to try and give people opportunities regardless of their exam results and what's on a CV. Therefore, we are not asking for written applications. We're doing open interviews on the day in the job centres and going back to that old-fashioned approach of having a feel for somebody on the day. Now, I know that Tameside, Jill Pilkington, has done that last Friday, and she had a really great response. She said if you'd have looked at the applications, you probably wouldn't have taken these people on, but once you meet face to face, you get a real different feeling for them. So that's got to be our approach with these. We're offering career pathways in administration. So we have got, I'll put in our website link and you can check out the training that we're offering over the 6 months. So there is dedicated admin training. There is an induction week where they will do things such as signposting, mental health, EMIS, document, vision, safeguarding, and lots of other things, finishing off with a bit of a fun day on the Friday. Oh, brilliant, Deborah. That's great that you've got such brilliant feedback. And that's something else we wanted to ask, is that if you are able to support, we're engaging with the young people in a different way. So DWP do it where they just send out a notification to people. I have been studying TikTok for the last few weeks and have spent hours watching videos. Now, a lot of them, actually put in that original Mentimeter, are around our own reception staff or healthcare assistant staff, basically, having a bit of a moan about the job and the patients. We don't want the young people to see that. We want to make TikTok videos that are fun, informative, and from people who can, provide what the job is and talk about it in a more positive light. So we've had some of our own members of staff making TikTok videos, which I didn't tell them that that's what they were going to be doing last Thursday, so they didn't get glammed up and full of makeup and come in looking like a queen. I did it so that they came in the jeans and t-shirt with their hair a bit scruffy. And it's just so as that they're more relatable rather than people thinking this isn't what we want to do. We're really, really keen. We know that there's people out there. We know that these, people we're going to take a chance on, but we really want to support them and give them that mentoring that they've not had before, to be able to look at general practice and social care as a full-on career, and that we've got those pathways to support. So if you're looking to take on a Kickstart HCA, we can offer them the HCA Foundation Program, which is my next presentation. Which can lead into the Nurse Associate Program to then be able to APEL onto the Registered Nurse Degree Apprenticeship. So we want to show them that there is more ways to becoming a registered professional than that. And the same with practice management, is that we've got a great admin pathway that will ensure that at the end of it, they're able to look and do the level 3 qualifications to go on to doing their ILM to become our practice managers of the future. Exactly the same with pharmacy, dental and social care. The response we've had from you lot is amazing with the opportunities that you're offering, the expressions of interest. But we want you to share our flyers on social media, share our TikTok videos, get those young people interested and get them keen to come and work with us. And we definitely want to get rid of that thing about doctors aren't approachable, it's not a good place to work, that all receptionists are dragons. Some of the TikTok videos are horrific, making fun of some of the phone calls and things that they have, and we want to get rid of that that illusion that general practice isn't what they think it is, but to be telling them about the different roles that are out there. It's not just GPs, nurses and receptionists, that we've got first contact physios, counselling students, nurse associates, paramedics, and all the different roles out there. So we'll be giving them an overview of those roles as well in their induction. Yeah, we are really passionate about this one. We've worked really hard over the last few weeks to make sure that we have got induction programs that will meet the needs of everyone. And that's it, I think, on Kickstart. So I've got a few questions, I think. Oh, Kerry shared the posters and the email address.
Dawn, Margaret's asking how does she get a trainee Kickstart?
You can, if you go to the website, Margaret, there is an expression of interest form that you can fill in, and we'll take your application from there, so we can do those for you.
And Dawn, there was another question. Somebody said that they've just been declined. They've had the decline email for the Kickstart, but I don't think that's through your program, is it? I think that might be through a different provider.
Yeah, I don't quite understand. Is that Caroline? We
Yes.
understand the Academy are taking expressions of interest, and so did you receive a decline through another provider? Sorry, Caroline, are you there? I'm not quite sure. Oh, no. So basically, we have become the employer. So instead of them being employed through you, we're not a gateway, we're an employer. So we will employ these people for you for 6 months. So their cost comes through us. We receive that funding from the government so as that we can place them in your surgery. We ask that you release them to do some of the training, and you can employ them for 25 hours to 37.5 hours a week. So we haven't been declined for anything. The government actually, I put the application in on the Monday, and the government, the DWP, rang me on the Friday, which normally takes a month, to say that they were so interested in working with us. So no, we weren't declined. We were quite happily offered everything. And it does look, I've spoken to DWP this morning, that they are going to increase our numbers to 200. Brilliant. Great, Caroline. You just completed the expression of interest. But yeah, if you can share our information, follow our Facebook page, follow our Instagram page. If you're into TikTok, follow our TikTok things. We're all HMR PCA. Our TikToks, please do excuse us because we are learning TikTok. But the more you can share and the more we can generate that interest with young people, the better it would be. So on that, we have got a couple of Menti questions. Oh, Caroline, so you applied on the government website, I see. So that was probably because you needed to have over 30 applications and things. We've applied and have done. Oh, I get it. Okay, Caroline, we'll pick that up after. Yes. But yeah, we're good to go as an employer now. All that funding's coming through. We will pay their salary, and as I say, it's 25 hours a week. Anything above that, it will need to be covered by the practice themselves. The other idea is considering, yes, Joanne, that's exactly right. The other idea that we have is that because they're on national minimum wage, once we've done a month with them and we know they've settled in with you and we'll be getting feedback from your practice managers and your other staff, is that we're then going to offer them the opportunity to work on our admin bank so as that they will be able to float around. So you know you're getting a member of staff who's trained up and who can do the basics such as answering the phones, booking appointments, giving out prescriptions and other things. And the more we train them, the more you're able to do on the bank. So it says if you're not a limited company, you can't apply. We are a limited company. So HMR Primary Care Academy comes under Rochdale Health Alliance. Yes, Dave, you can absolutely submit a new application with ourselves. So because we are CCG funded and we are a GP federation, we are a limited company, which is why we've been able to become the employer for Kickstart. But yeah, if you've already gone through PMA and not heard anything, please feel free to pop in new expressions of interest through ourselves.
Yeah, so Greater Manchester has been working with Dawn and her team to make sure that it's a consistent Greater Manchester offer. So that's why kind of we've gone through this route. We want the candidates to have all the same training and a certain standard of training. So just to reassure you all, Dawn's team is the employer. You basically get a free resource for 6 months for 25 hours a week. At the end of that, we would hope that they're a really good fit and you're able to offer them an employment place. But I think Dawn's got a little Mentimeter just to ask you whether this might be of interest to you. So if you're not already in the Mentimeter, I'll re-put the link in the chat. I think you're probably already still in it. So.
We're doing things, we're working with DWP so as that these young people will get an allowance to be able to get clothing to come to work. So I know a lot of you supply uniforms, maybe not trousers and things, so as that they're getting that same setup. So they will have a uniform allowance, they're able to support with transport, to be able to do some of the training that we're doing, if it's e-learning and Teams meetings, we're able to support some of them with IT, so dongles and laptops and iPads. The other thing that we're doing is we looked at what it is that young people wanted, and we have to remember that a lot of them are on universal credit, and potentially that some of the parents are. So we're making sure that they've got everything they need with a bag, with a work ready bag. So they'll have things like pen, pad, cup, water bottle, all those bits and pieces that I can remember my mum putting in my bag and me thinking, oh God, do I really need all this? And actually she was dead right that I did need all that stuff. So as that we know they're ready to come into work and be part of everything and don't feel any different to anybody else starting work. That's brilliant. So as I say, Kerry's popped the link in. Feel free to go pop your expression of interest in. And we've got the job descriptions, the generic job descriptions. We can tweak them if there's anything else that you want. And we will process those applications. We're interviewing week commencing the 18th of December, 18th of October. As I say, we're bringing them in. It's open interviews. They will be offered a position on the day. If you want to be part of that interview process, let us know and we can send out the dates of where we're going to be at the different job centres in the different areas. And if you want to just pop in for an hour, please just get in touch and we can arrange for you to do that and be part of the interviews.
Brilliant. So, part of the Kickstart process is to increase candidates into admin roles, and then hopefully they would then also want to develop further and then go on to the next nursing pathway, which would be the healthcare assistant. So again, I'm going to hand over to Dawn because we do have a healthcare assistant foundation offer available to you.
Hi, sorry, you're all going to be so sick of me. So we've developed a healthcare support worker foundation program. We started this at the beginning of the year and uptake was a little bit slow due to COVID and how things were working. Sorry, let me just make sure it moves along. Can you see that, Kerry?
Yeah, we can see it. It's not gone on to slide the presentation. There you go.
So we aimed to start this off because we wanted to support with winter pressures and COVID pressures. We want to raise the profile of the healthcare support worker role and increase the number of healthcare support workers in general practice. We want them to be able to be supported to go into the nursing pathway, and that then strengthens your workforce, and then look at the career pathway into registered nurses. So just if you don't know, we have worked with Bolton University, and we now have a part-time entry into the registered nurse degree apprenticeship. So it's a very long-winded way of becoming a registered nurse, but we have got candidates who have started back in April and again in September who are now on that pathway to become a registered nurse. You can apply for the foundation program. So we originally said,
sorry, don't think your slides are moving on. We're still on number 1. There you go.
Sorry. We originally said that we would look at all staff who were new to general practice, general practices and networks looking to develop reception and admin staff into clinical roles, upskilling our current healthcare support workers and phlebotomists to become more clinically developed. So by that we mean that we've got our healthcare support workers and phlebotomists who are already doing clinics and things, but may not have things such as functional skills to be able to go on to do a level 3 in health and social care or to access the trainee nurse associate course. And we've supported an awful lot of our students in the last 7 months to get those functional skills to enable them to access the TNA course. So the offer of the foundation is there's a 6-month foundation development. We offer phlebotomy training, basic cardiovascular disease, hypertension, long-term conditions, urine dipstick analysis. We're doing cohorts of the care certificate, which has been brilliant. As I said, functional skills, so supporting people to get that maths and English to be able to move on. We've got Elaine Stone, who is our dedicated mentor. She holds the forums, and we are going to offer that forum open to all HCAs, regardless of whether they're on the foundation programme or not, so as that we can give them information about free courses, training, level 2s and other things that we're able to offer with local colleges. Elaine also does one-to-one supervision with them. So every 3 months she meets with them via Teams, or she can come out and she looks at where they're up to, how they're progressing, and what is it that they want to do, and to discuss with the practice managers and the partners to make sure they've got that support. We're also working with Greater Manchester Training Hub to offer the Level 3 apprenticeship, and then again with Bolton University and Salford University to look at the TNA role and the Registered Nurse Degree apprenticeship. For those sessions, the Level 3 apprenticeship, the TNA and the RNDA, we do host open afternoons and drop-in sessions with the leads from the HEIs and the college, so you can get more information about what support you need to give your staff with those courses. What does it cost? It costs the practice nothing. There is no cost attached to any of this training, any of the level 2s or any of the level 3s. And if you wanted somebody to do a level 3 currently, we do have backfill available for that at the moment. So these numbers are from a few weeks ago. So what do we have so far? We had 47 who came from an admin and reception background accessing the course. Current health care support workers 39, phlebotomists, care coordinators and practice managers. We've actually now got 109 people on programme, so it has been really well received. These numbers, as I say, are from before September. So we've got 12 who are doing the level 3, 11 who've applied and are on the cohort for September for the TNA programme. The 12 that were currently undertaking functional skills for January 22 have passed and are going on. And we've got others that are waiting for confirmation of the GCSE grades to apply. For those that can't find the certificates for the GCSE grades, I think it's around £48 to get those. We will fund that. So if they can't find their certificates to prove that they've got GCSE, C or above, we will support and pay for that to get them so as that they can access everything. What are we doing next? So as I said, we've got our HCA mentor in place. She's offering individual developmental sessions, our regular HCA forum. We've got teaching sessions planned on asthma, diabetes, respiratory, sepsis, and we've also got, for those that are eligible, IMS and VAX training coming up as well, which is free of charge for anybody on the course. We want to future-proof the healthcare support worker role, and we're working with Kerry at GM to look at the healthcare support worker passport to make sure that we're training everybody to the same standard. And as I say, we're looking at Kickstart. We've got an awful lot of practices who've asked for us to get them a Kickstart placement to train them up as their future healthcare support worker. There is a little, it's not very clear, but there is a little pathway there. So you can see that you can take your current admin, reception, HCA or your Kickstart person. They go onto the foundation course, which can lead to the TNA or the level 3 apprenticeship. If they do the TNA, they can then APEL in and skip the first 18 months of the registered nurse degree apprenticeship, which can lead them to our general practice nurse support work that we've got and our foundation course and the fellowship. Anything at all that you want to discuss, or if you want to get more information, or you want to put somebody onto the foundation course, you can contact Sam and she will send you an expression of interest form. Or if you want to discuss about the support available from Elaine, feel free to drop Elaine a message. That's everything. Be done. Sorry, like I say, you'd be sick of the sight of me over the next few months.
Oh, thank you, Dawn. Dawn, I think we've got a little Mentimeter as well, haven't we, just to see kind of what the expression of interest would be in terms of the healthcare foundation programme.
Yep.
And there is a question in the chat around booking of functional skills for a candidate who's already gone through the course. So I think the answer to that is Yes.
Yes, we can get functional skills for somebody who's already gone through. And I say, if you just drop, I think there was one in the chat that said, how do you get a form? If you email Sam, I've put her email address in the chat, she'll send you with an expression of interest form to get your person on. The next cohort, we're tying it in with the Kickstart cohorts, will start in December.
All right, that's great. Well, hopefully for those of you that do need a HCA, that's either something that we can support through the Kickstart program, or it's something that you might want to upskill one of your current receptionists or admin staff, and kind of that Dawn's program will absolutely help with that. So there's one more question. I think this is a free question, isn't it, Dawn?
Yeah, it's free text. So it's around, what do you want the HCA to do in your practice? Is there some further training that we should be offering that you think would be beneficial for your HCA to be doing? Or when it comes to taking on new people, is there anything that we can support with? So all of that we can offer, and if you want to get your current healthcare support workers enrolled on the course, then we can get that going. The only thing we can't do is, I think somebody put smears, we can't do any smear training with our healthcare support workers, I'm afraid. But yeah, we're already offering blood pressure, diabetes reviews, chronic disease monitoring, 24-hour blood pressure monitoring. And yes, the competencies, we do have a competency booklet that we're using to make sure that our HCAs are all signed off. And we're looking to have our course, our HCA course, sort of kite standard by Salford University. So it will be, it's not an accreditation, but it will show that we are doing everything right to make sure that people are trained in the right way and all at the same level. That's brilliant, thank you. And that's what we've got next is, do you have a HCA you want to develop? That's the last thing I think from our Mentimeter around this. Sorry, Kerry, I might have gone over time there.
No, you're all right, don't worry. I just, was there a TNA question? No.
We've done the TNA question. Okay. I put that on before when we were discussing, don't worry.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, everyone.
Right, brilliant. Thanks very much to Dawn. So moving on, Leslie would normally deliver this slide, so I'm afraid you've got me next again. I'm going to talk to you around the next kind of progression. So that's the General Practice Nurse Fellowship Program and Foundation Program. Not sure whether it's something that you will be aware of. If I can get my slides to change. Okay, so we'll start off with the General Practice Nurse Foundation Program. That's aimed basically at those people that are new to general practice or are newly qualified. In order to be eligible for this particular foundation program, the individual needs to be employed by a practice, and as I say, be newly qualified within the first 12 months of qualification, or coming from another area of nursing, so new to primary care. It's a 25-week program, and it means that it's 1 day out a week of the practice to attend training, which kind of, I know looking at some of the other feedback that you've given to us, might not be appealing, but there is some salary support to the practice in order to release the individual, and that's at £73 a week. We are also looking to develop the nurse part of the workforce bank, and we hope that we'll be able to offer that to you in order to provide somebody to provide cover to release this person. It is a fundamentals program, so it is looking at what somebody would need coming into general practice. So things such as chronic disease management, male and female health, cytology, immunisations. So it's a really rounded programme. There are 2 cohorts just about to start, one in September. I know we're the 1st of October tomorrow, but if you did have somebody that you really wanted to put onto that programme, I'm sure that their application would be accepted. And then the next cohort is due to start in April 22, so that does allow you to do some planning. Leading on from the foundation programme, which is really about those fundamental clinical skills, is the Gpn Fellowship Program. Now, you might have heard of fellowships because within the NHS, we like to get a name and we like to put it across a lot of different programs just to confuse you. But this is really, the eligibility for this is very different. So this is only aimed at newly qualified nurses or those that have qualified within the last 12 months. I know that feedback from you has told us that you're kind of not very keen about taking on newly qualified nurses because you feel they've got a lot of upskilling, but we hope that the foundation programme is the step onto that to help alleviate that. The fellowship programme is a 2-year programme, and for the first 6 months, that's where we want to align them to the foundation programme so that they complete their fundamentals. But after the 6 months fundamentals, they progress for the remaining 2 years, so 7 months to 24 months, progress to the wider fellowship programme. It's 1 session a week, but it can be flexed to kind of fit around the practice requirements. And again, there is salary reimbursement to support the participation of the fellow on this programme. Again, applications are open for an intake in September and April, but again, I'm quite sure that if you had somebody that you wanted to go on this programme, the individual would be accepted for the fellowship intake. There's a number of key modules, so the fellowship has a slightly different approach to it. Whilst the foundation programme looks at the clinical skills, the fellowship programme looks at other wider skills, so things like practice management skills, what it means to be within general practice, kind of how general practice is set up. It wants to develop their leadership skills as well as quality improvement. And the fellowship programme delivers that. It also helps that individual get their voice within the primary care network. They have access to coaching and mentorship, as well as a peer support group. And at the end of the 2-year programme, we would hope that that individual is integrated right across the PCN so that they would have more of a portfolio role, so working within practice, but right across the PCN as well. There's lots of benefits that we can see, but I appreciate that work pressures are really difficult at the moment, and considering the balance of whether you've got somebody that could go on this course and then releasing them, we appreciate the kind of the anxieties that you might have around that. But really it's about making an attractive recruitment offer to individuals coming into primary care. Again, not to over reiterate, but actually it does provide that clinical foundation basis as well. It's about building your team for the future going forward, because we know, as Leslie said in her slides, we've got an awful lot of nurses that are in that retirement bracket. It hopefully creates that portfolio role, so they'll be able to have skills that helps them look at local health population needs. And again, there is a CPD paid session every week for the GPNs. So we hope that actually that whole package with the mentor, the peer support group and the networking starts to develop our GPNs of the future. But hopefully that's something that would be of benefit. How to apply for this programme? So this programme is delivered by Greater Manchester Training Hub. I'm going to put in, when I can stop sharing my slides, I'm going to put the link in to their website. Again, these slides will be shared. There are some clinical leads, so there are 3 main contacts, Louise Thornton, Sam Howard, who are the clinicians, and Hayley Jones, who manages the programme. I'm just going to stop sharing my slides there. I'm going to pop into the chat all that helpful information. And if it's something that obviously is of use to you, then please do reach out to them. I think, Dawn, we've got a little quick Mentimeter to ask people to complete. Oops. I'm sharing the Mentimeter thing again with you, but I did mean to share the fellowship link, so I'm going to pop that into the chat. There you go, second time lucky. So in terms of a general practice nurse, we're really interested because it helps shape our programme, what your recruitment plans are kind of in the short, medium and longer term. Do you know that your current practice nurse is looking to retire? Is it something, or is she looking to go part-time? Is it something, you know, that you're going to need to address in the near future? So I can see there that one person is going to be looking really to 2 people to recruit. And actually that's quite significant, isn't it, across Greater Manchester? I know we've got just short of 100 people here today, but if we think we've got 400 and odd practices, then that's a really great need for the nursing workforce, isn't it? Thank you. We can't tell you how invaluable this information is on the Mentimeter across all of the programmes that we're delivering today. Mike, I can see your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. It's just a clarification, really. Obviously, we're in a meeting full of managers, and part of the GPN training program was to look at GP practice management. So just wanted to get some clarification what's actually meant in the program for basically alleviating some of our role.
So I think, well, one, the GPN program is only just about to start in September, so there's plenty of opportunity to help shape that. But my understanding from the training hub and from the national guidance is it's about ensuring that those individuals come into general practice and they've got an understanding of what's a PCN, how does it fit in the locality, how does general practice run. So it's not about taking over your role at all, but it's really about giving that person an understanding of what your role's about, how general practice is financed, that kind of general rounded view that actually you don't get in your training as a nurse and you're not exposed to at all. So I know it's certainly something that the training hub are looking at to deliver to the GP fellows. So I'm quite sure, Mike, if you wanted to contribute the shaping of that, I'm sure they would absolutely welcome it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'm here to try and help shape anything that will obviously improve general practices from our own specific viewpoint. And it's really good that clarification has come through, because I to be honest, I've known practices that do have practice nurses that have been heavily involved in the management, and it's been very beneficial to the organisation. And basically just splitting the traditional practice manager role up a bit into the clinical elements to it, but also the business element. But again, I think if you're going to have something like that, then it really does need to actually have some practice manager input, rather than it just being what is a practice manager, and from a sort of high up opinion of the sort of blue sky thinking, rather than the general actually the day-to-day running of what an actual PM does. Because I think it is a little bit different. Yeah,
so it's I know you're saying about that dual role and nursing staff taking on that role in conjunction with the practice manager. The fellowships isn't about that. The fellowships is really about ensuring that individuals have a rounded understanding of general practice. I'm sure, you know, they're new to general practice or they're newly qualified. I'm sure as their career progresses, it might be something, you know, that they'd aspire to. But in the first instance, it's really about giving them that knowledge and understanding of the NHS as a whole, primary care as a whole, and general practice. But if it's all right, Mike, I think I'll probably share your details with the training hub, and perhaps they can reach out to you. All right, thank you.
Yeah, they might have it already, but yeah, thanks.
So I think there's a couple of you actually, Fiona and Siobhan, are indicating that actually you're really struggling to recruit a nurse at the moment.
Well, we think we've recruited one, but she's coming from a hospital background, and what we would really love is if there was the facility available for a sort of a quite intense you know, 2-3 months or whatever to get her trained on all the core basic general practice nursing duties. So smears, vaccinims, chronic disease, really intense. And then we'd obviously take over sort of supervision, some of the competency sign off back in practice. But at the moment, it's quite disjointed. You know, you book somebody on a course and they can do bits and bobs, but it's not really intense. So the time it takes for somebody who's a nurse coming to GP to get trained up to really hit the ground running as a general practice nurse is a bit prohibitive. It really puts people off, even though loads of nurses are desperate to come out of the hospitals, because in many ways the work-life balance is just more manageable. You know, as a general rule, we don't work loads of weekends, we don't do loads of late nights or weird shift patterns that make it hard to work around childcare. But if that intense course or just more regular courses were available, it would be a game changer.
So actually what you're saying, Siobhan, is that 26-week course is a bit too long, isn't it, to get the person?
Too long. Yeah, too long. If it could be compressed, really intense. I wouldn't mind paying a practice nurse for 3 months and not actually see her for 3 months. But in 3 months, I wanted to come back and absolutely go for it.
Yeah, so more like a 12 week.
Yeah, with some supervision, competency sign off, whatever it needs to be. But 26 weeks is just too long. If we recruit from outside of general practice, we have to get them doing general practice work. Okay.
No, that's really helpful actually, and I'm sure Leslie would be really interested to hear that as well. That's great feedback. Thank you. Michelle, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I think it's just picking up on that comment. I'm from Urban Village, and we've just had one of our new practice nurse go on the GPN program. So although I do agree that there needs to be some intense to support, I don't know whether any less would hinder the development, because she thought it was very, very intensive, absolutely loved the program, but there was so much to do in them 26 weeks. So to dilute that, I don't know how the individual would cope, because, you know, she's coming from a district nurse background, so well versed on NHS and systems, obviously not in primary care. So it's just that take from a practice nurse point of view that she loved it and she thought it was hugely beneficial, but did find it really intense. And she's a really, really bright individual. So I just thought I'd shared that feedback.
I think what I'll do, if it's okay, so Janine and Siobhan, I think Leslie would be really keen to hear, not wanting to take too much of your time, but really keen to hear your experiences. I've just made a note of your names, and it might be that we reach out to you separately just to kind of get some feedback from you, if that's all right. Michelle, you've also got your hand up.
No, old hand, Kirsty, I've just put it down.
Oh, sorry. Okay, no problem. Okay, and there's lots of really, really interesting comments actually, which I think we probably need to go back and review actually after this this call, just to make sure that we've captured everything. All right, that's great. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to hand over now to Ian Thornber and Jonathan Henderson, who's in our team, and they're just going to speak to you briefly about the dreaded data question. So I'll hand over to them.
Hi everybody. Am I all right with the slide up?
Yeah, no problem. Dawn, do you want to stop sharing, please?
So hi everybody. My name is Johnny Henderson. So I'm a program manager for primary care workforce team. And Ian, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi everybody. I'm Ian Thornber. I work for HE, so I'm interested in the workforce numbers for supply, future supply. And it's interesting the conversation on would you require newly qualified nurses on the Menti response there. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So basically, me and Ian are here we're not here to tell you about the Northwest Reporting Service. We're here to gain a bit of your knowledge on the reporting services. So we've got a few Mentimeter questions that will be coming. But what I wanted to do is just reflect over a bit of the conversations that we've had today and the importance of data, if you like, because I'm sure you've heard this before and you've heard people come and tell you about the routine and what data is and how important it is. But basically, I just wanted to do a short introduction of how important data is for us as a workforce team and securing and planning our future. As you well know, data helps us or informs us of plans so we can start to identify our gaps, which we've been talking about today with all the HCA work that's coming, the Kickstart programs that are coming as support for the practices. And it also looks at solutions, which they are the solutions. So we're putting in programs around Greater Manchester that hopefully are supporting your staff and your time, which came up at the Mentimeter at the beginning on the temperature check, was two big things that I saw come up very frequently. So what we wanted to do is come today as a kind of you said we did. So we want to come and ask you a few questions around what your knowledge is of the NWRS system and how is it working out there, because we know that submissions are we're getting infrequent submissions on the NWRS, and Ian will probably go on a bit more about that when we come to the questions or some feedback. But it was just, we thought we'd use this time today, and with this practice manager being a very open, honest and transparent forum, and I've been really impressed up to now, is just to ask you what's everyone's knowledge on the NWRS? Ian, have you got anything to add to that before we go into the questions?
No, as Jonathan's pointed out, it's really just a fact-finding mission from us today to understand, do you know about the new system? Do you use the new system? Can we provide any feedback going to NHS Digital, who provide the actual service, on any issues you've got or any improvements that you'd want? But we've got just a few Mentimeter questions just to gain an overall broad understanding of usage.
Okay. All right, with questions up, Dawn, please.
Yep, coming now.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. No, don't be. Oh, that's brilliant.
So this one, we just want to know, do you know about it as a practice manager? So it's interesting if you don't, because apparently there's NHS Digital sends out numerous emails directly to all practices and all users. So for those that don't know about the system, we need to understand how we can get you the information that you can understand about it.
So I've heard of it, but I've never actually received an email from NHS Digital. Right.
That's interesting. Is there someone in your practice who does get the email?
No.
No.
I am the primary contact, and I get the data protection toolkit thing sent to me, but I don't get this sent to me. But I have heard of it on managers forums and things like that, and I've gone, is this something I should be doing? I haven't been given any information. So I have heard of it, but I don't get sent anything about it.
That's very interesting, because it is something that should be doing. Technically, it is a mandatory collection, so all practices should be completing it on a regular basis.
I thought it was a mandatory collection as well, but I was like going, I haven't been sent it.
Right. Tanya, we'll get in touch separately and we'll provide you some information on how to get access to it.
Damn, I can't get away with it for any longer then.
Now, for those who are aware of it and actually use it, we're interested in who actually completes the information on behalf of your practice.
Ian, there's a question while people are doing the Mentimeter. Sorry, just keeping an eye on the chat. Someone's asking if practice managers are not receiving the emails, how do they get on the distribution list?
We can send, if we pull some FAQs together from what's coming in the chat. Unfortunately, I can't see the chat for some bizarre reason. Then we can send it out to everybody on this call and all practice managers that we're aware of. So it'll point you to how to get access, point you to where the information is,
sorry, some people are saying it's not the most user-friendly tool, and it's a bit glitchy. I know that's not you, Ian. I know it's a national a national tool, but I wonder whether we are able to kind of feedback at all.
We can feedback, and there's an NHS Digital National group that we have access to, so we can provide comments and feedback that via that mechanism, which should go to improving the system itself.
We'll try and pull the comments off in the chat, Ian, so that if you're in your national team, you can feedback. Sorry, somebody's got the hand up. Sorry, Tanya. It's Tanya.
My hand's an old hand. I'll try and figure out how to put it down.
We're now interested in understanding how would you like training on the system, given that you're so busy and practice managers. Would you want a virtual event? Do you want face-to-face? Do you not need it? YouTube tutorials, so as and when.
And Ian, there's an interesting question in the chat saying, don't really understand why we want the data.
That's yes, that's a very good question. It's more from a workforce planning perspective. It's more from understanding the overall picture. From an HE perspective, we've got a big pot of money that we use for training and supporting training. So if we know the future requirements and current staffing requirements, we can provide targeted training courses. Also within GM, we use it for short-term training provision and understanding what the makeup of the workforce is. I think we started off by Kerry pointing out that a third of the nursing workforce is going to be retiring or eligible or will be becoming eligible to retire in the not too distant future. So can we do some succession planning? Can we provide additional roles reimbursement scheme roles? So the overall workforce, although it's not directly fed back to you in any real good mechanism from an individual practice perspective, or from a CCG, from a PCN, from an overall Greater Manchester perspective, it is used to drive a lot of work.
And I suppose the other thing to mention as well is that it does set the funding envelope for things like the nurse CPD. So every nurse is entitled to £1,000 over 3 years to support CPD development. So nationally, they do use it for things like that. And if the information is absent, then we don't receive the allocation that we should receive, that gets passed on to you.
Okay. Now this one, we're aware of burden across the system. We're just wondering, do other people come to you and say, can I have information about workforce, rather than so it's a separate collection from that of the NWRS? And if you do get requests for it, can you just detail, it's an open text, what those are? Workforce sit rep. So PCNs come to you for requests for data.
There's some bit in the chat as well, Ian. So people are also submitting spreadsheets around risk assessments for staff in terms of COVID sickness, just in case that's not captured.
Okay. Monthly returns to the CCG. It's very interesting, because the one of the benefits of using the NWRS was to be a one-stop shop for all your workforce information, so that the likes of the CCG, the PCN should access it via that mechanism rather than coming to you directly. Yeah. I believe the sit reps now stopped. Was this the one that started during the COVID?
It's still ongoing.
It's still ongoing. Interesting. Is that the one you fill out online?
Yeah, on Tableau.
Yeah.
Is that what you have to fill out? Sorry, is this for the clinical and non-clinical staff?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's the COVID one, isn't it? That we created. Right, so you're still doing that?
Yes.
Many thanks for all your comments. What we potentially will do is summarize the different all the information we've got from the various questions on the NWRS, also on the different workforce elements that you're collecting on, and we may just seek clarification on a couple of them if we don't understand them.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask you this question, because I use NWRS. So when you go in, it's got all the list of names of employees. Mine keeps coming up saying incomplete. When I edit it and go in, it's complete. But when I go into the next section, you know where all your graphs are? All my graphs are saying I'm 100% complete, but the list is saying I'm incomplete. And it's really confusing me.
Carol, I don't actually have access to the system, so I can't, due to GDPR. Would it be possible to arrange a meeting offline so you can just show me?
Yeah, I'll try and get it up for you, because it's just that I don't know whether anyone else is having this same issue, and it ends up very time consuming because you keep going in to see, well, what is incomplete for that particular staff member, but you go into then another screen which is all graphs, which is then saying I'm 100% complete. So I'm stuck.
It's national insurance numbers. If you put a national insurance number in, it will complete, but I've left it. I'm not putting NI numbers in because I don't know why that's needed.
I haven't put NI numbers in because I didn't feel it was relevant. And to be honest, yeah. So that's the answer. Right, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that will be the answer. They ask for the national insurance number so that they can track people across the system. So if you've got people that are working at your practice but also do a day a week in a trust, they'll be able to track them across the system so they can get the full capacity of the NHS and social care areas.
Quite a lot of people actually put in the NI comment in the chat. Michelle?
Yeah, the NI is the biggest thing for incomplete, but we'd have to inform staff of that, because at the moment staff know that basic details are in that system, but to put their NI details in an external system, we'd have to update our privacy notices, because staff have privacy notices attached to the contract. So it's not about being awkward or obstructive, it's about doing the right thing from a governance point of view. Yeah,
totally agree, and it's a GDPR issue as well, isn't it? That you've got to have a privacy. You've got to inform your staff what you're using their information for and who you're providing it to.
Okay, so in the interest of time, I know some of you have got another meeting to go to, following on from this.
That's great.
Thank you for your honesty today and for sharing with us your thoughts and comments. It's really appreciated. And I know we absolutely keep asking you to do these Mentimeters, but it really does go to help us with our planning and to help us understand what it is that you really need. I've popped Dawn's just popped a Mentimeter up, basically saying how have you found today's session and what else would you like from future forums. What we want to make sure is that this forum speaks to you and we're not presenting something that you don't need. There is going to be another meeting on the 4th of November, very similar to this, just an hour and 20 minutes over lunchtime. The agenda that we were planning to bring to you was health and wellbeing. We wanted to show you something called GM Workforce Connect. It's a bit like a matchmaking digital service. So you post your vacancy and it reaches out into the system for people that are looking for a vacancy. We were going to bring back to you the Workforce Bank update. That's following the feedback that you gave us in terms of ease of use and shifts being filled, not being filled. We were again going to invite Mike to come back and talk about the Institute of Practice Managers. We were going to talk about Tier 2 and what support there is available for those international doctors that have trained with us, and how you can obtain a Tier 2 licence, obtain reimbursement from Greater Manchester. And then we were going to invite GP Excellence, which is now known as GM Excellence, to tell you what their offers were around training. But if you've got any other suggestions, please pop it into the Mentimeter. Mike, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, it's just a comment overall on workforce from a clinical point of view. A lot of general practice, it's widely known that a lot of the workload is done on goodwill. And I don't think the number of vacancies we currently have is actually going to be indicative, because you've got to take into consideration things like that there was reports recently that it would take 3 salaried GPs to do the role of a partner, for example. And all these things are not really looked at. I mean, these are just numbers on a spreadsheet, and they're not really taking into consideration the real cost of general practice. And unless the actual funding stream has said it's gone back down to about 8.1% of the NHS budget over the last year or two, compared to other G8 countries, which is a hell of a lot more. These things need to be looked at as well, because it's not just the numbers we currently have and the numbers of people are currently retiring. It's a whole different conversation, and I'm not too sure in terms of, from a clinical point of view, how relevant the actual data that you'll be getting will be, because it just doesn't even touch the sides in terms of what the bigger picture is.
Okay, thanks for those comments, Mike. So we'll send these slides out. And I suppose one of the questions we'll ask next month is once a month, frequent enough for you? Please do share within your networks and with colleagues. We hope that the lunchtime session supports you able to bring your lunch and come along and participate. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you next session, 4th of November, and we'll send it out, the joining link with the slide deck. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.